Hello, meteorologist Christian Winn at DFW Storm Watch. This is a severe weather briefing for the Saturday's possible severe weather. Let's start right off with the computer models. This is the 12Z NAM that just came out. As you can see, we always have mentioned in our videos we're going to see at least 750 to 1,000 joules a kilogram of instability to produce some severe weather. And the higher you go, the higher chance of severe weather and becoming more severe. Right now, the latest data is suggesting that the cap could get up to 1,500 to 1,750 joules a kilogram in the DFW Metroplex, with areas I would say from Wise to Parker counties, Palo Pinto, 2,000 joules a kilogram, and northwestern Texas and our Oklahoma counties reaching upwards of 2,500 to 2,750 joules a kilogram. So, as I just mentioned in the update I just put out on DFW Stormwatch, the highest threat will be north and west of Dallas and Fort Worth, but Dallas and Fort Worth is still expecting the threat based on this model data. Now we're going to go over to the cap strength that could be in place. And as you can see also where I put out the update saying that we are holding off on any threats for areas southeast of DFW, it's because this latest model wants to depict a very, very strong cap will be in place southeast of DFW, and even in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, a strong cap could be in place. Whenever you see these dark blues and the blues, then that means that the cap is much, much stronger, and it's very, very strong when you get the dark blues. However, when you start getting these reds and these white openings, that means that there is no cap whatsoever, a very, very weak cap. So again, that's why I put out north and west of DFW has the highest threat, because this model is depicting, I would say roughly from Gainesville to Decatur, where the cap will be about minimal, so we will see the chances for some severe weather. It would be much higher northwest of DFW if this model verifies. So now we're going to go over to the EHI composite. This takes together the cap, the cap, the other cap, and the cape, the SIN, the shear, and the upper levels of atmosphere, and this combines to show us the tornado potential. As you can see, the tornado potential is relatively low. Expect to see values over 2 to support some tornadic threats, but most of this appears to be confined to the Red River or northwest Texas, and even there the threat appears quite minimal, but it does support the threat for slight areas, and we'll put that in that new graphic that we're making right now as well. Also, our lifted index is very, very favorable. It's -6, -7. We want to see values over -1. That's favorable enough. So we're very favorable in the lifted index area based on the 12Z NAM. And our surface-based shear from surface to 500 millibars shows shear very favorable from Dallas-Fort Worth and points north and west. And the farther northwest you go, the better the dark blues mean that shear is getting higher. So again, the highest threat based on this model appears to be northwest of DFW. Now here's the GFS 12Z run. As you can see, it is quite different than the NAM, as mentioned in the update that was just put out on DFW Stormwatch. We are now seeing, with this model, 3,000 joules a kilogram of cape for instability from Gainesville to Denton to Parker and Palo Pinto counties and points north and west. This shows very high amounts over the DFW Metroplex as well, ranging from 2,000 to upwards of 3,000, and even in our southeastern zones, it's indicating areas could reach 3,000 joules a kilogram. Also, our Oklahoma counties could receive 2,000 joules a kilogram. Now, usually with severe weather events, this model usually underplays what could happen. So this is if this model verifies and it's underplaying, then we could have very severe outbreak. But the NAM, the previous model that we just showed you, is usually the most reliable model for a severe weather event, although it is off sometimes. So that's why I mentioned that these models are not very agreeing. And as you can see with the GFS, it shows a very weak cap or no cap from, I would say, McKinney to Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, Palo Pinto, Parker, even southwards towards Waco, and eastwards towards maybe north of Tyler, actually, northwest of Tyler. But even this shows a farther southern extent with the cap of being much weaker. So this would have a very large impact on the storms that they do develop. But again, this is much different because the red colors were up here in northwest Texas in the Red River counties with the other run of the NAM. And so it's much different. These models are not a green whatsoever. And the lifted indexes are even further southeast on this model too, the GFS 12Z. So based on all this, and the shear, actually, I forgot to check the shear. The shear from surface to 500 millibars is favorable from Waco to McKinney, maybe Allen, maybe those areas points northwest. Northwest has higher shear amounts. And so then we're going to go look at the wind. 200 millibars, the wind will be straight out of the west across the entire area most likely. Then we headed to 500 millibars. It still is out of the west, pretty strong out of the west. Then we go to the surface and it turns to the southeast. This indicates that there is some spin in the atmosphere, but it's not a bunch of spin like the tornado outbreak we had a couple months ago or a month ago or whatever. Not expecting a big tornado outbreak. We're not even sure if it's going to be severe weather, but it is a possibility based on all these model scenarios, especially for northwest Texas and into Oklahoma and Kansas, or until Oklahoma. So we'll keep you updated on the latest. We'll have new graphs coming out for separate areas, one for the southern Oklahoma, one for northwest Texas, and one for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Meteorologist Christian Winn here, DFW Storm Watch. Thanks for watching.